Is the new Windblume Ode bow worth leveling, worth using at all? So that's what we're gonna do today. Let's take a look. The first thing I want to talk about is the mistranslation on the bow. This description say that after using a elemental skill, you will get a attack percent buff. However, it's actually when you cast an elemental skill. When we switch our game to Chinese, you can see that it says 释放时 instead of 释放后, which mean when you cast it instead of after you cast it. This is important because this means that the damage bonus will apply on your elemental skill as well. And a quick testing will show that this is indeed correct, as you can see the damage number on the right side is bigger. You can also see this error in other languages such as Japanese, where it says go instead of toki. Let's start with the review. Starting off with Venti, because his elemental burst snapshot, meaning that if you cast his elemental skill before his elemental burst, you can get the buff for the entire duration. Due to snapshotting, it's turned out that this bow is actually decent for Venti. It's only 2% less damage than the refined one stringless, however beat out other option. So if you don't have a stringless, this is an acceptable choice as well. Moving on to Fischl, once again Fischl's Oz can snapshot, making the buff last the entire duration. Now you can actually get the buff on the Oz summoned by your elemental burst as well. What you need to do is after you cast your elemental burst, press E to re-summon Oz to your position. This will actually re-snapshot and count as a elemental skill cast, so you can get the buff this way. For Fischl, we basically see the same results as Venti. You can see that the event bow at Refine 5 is equivalent to the Refine 1 stringless, although do know that the Battle Pass bow end up being slightly better because of the crit substat on it. For main DPS Fischl, we have of course the rush being much better, so if you don't have rush, I actually suggest you to just not play main DPS Fischl. Now this bow is not recommended for Ganyu because her elemental skill have a 10-second cooldown, but the buff only lasts for 6. So this means that on your charge attack, you only have 60% uptime on those buff. For Mel Ganyu, at Refine 1, the prototype weapon is already better than the event weapon, and for a freeze Ganyu, the difference is even bigger because a freeze Ganyu cannot make use of the elemental mastery on the weapon. So overall, this weapon is not recommended for Ganyu. For Diona, this weapon is not recommended as well, since the primary objective for Diona is to support, so attack percent or elemental mastery is not a good stat on her. And instead, you should be looking for a energy recharge bow as always. The sacrificial will always be a good choice. However, because everyone get a Felonious bow for free, there's absolutely no reason to use this on Diona. Now, moving on to Childe, he can actually get the bonus both when he entered the melee form, as well as when he leaves the melee form, because it also counts as activating a elemental skill. It is possible to make use of this 6-second uptime really well if you play around it, however, it is still not recommended for Childe. Childe cannot make use of the elemental mastery on the weapon, so even the prototype without the passive is better because it ends up providing more attack percent than the R5 event bow. And of course, Rust is a really good weapon for Childe, so if you could get a Rust, then just use a Rust. So that pretty much covered all the archer in the game. Let me know if you have any question. Just kidding, I didn't forget about Ember, but I almost wanted to. Ember's elemental skill have a 15-second cooldown, so it's just too hard to make use of the passive. If you're playing main DPS Ember, again the prototype is just better since you're spamming your charge attack, especially with your C1. And if you're looking to play support Ember to provide a pyro aura, you can't really make use of the elemental mastery on your elemental burst, but again, it's not recommended. As a final ELI 5, looking at the prototype weapon and the event weapon, you can see that they have the exact same base attack at 510 for both weapons at level 90. So the only difference is that one of these give attack percent substat and the other give elemental mastery. Now moving on to the effect, however, let's not even consider the prototype effect. Let's just look at the event weapon effect. At Refine 5, it gives you 32% attack. However, the prototype already gives you 40% as a substat for free. and 40% is bigger than 32%. So you can already see how the prototype without the effect can give you more damage. The only time that the event weapon is justifiable is if you can both make use of the passive and the elemental mastery on the substat, which you could do on characters such as Venti or Fischl. However, it's just not applicable to basically anyone else, and that's why it's just not as good. Personally, I would not be leveling this bow at all because I already have other options. For example, I have 2 stringless, one for my Venti, one for my Fischls. I already have other bow as well, such as the prototype as well as the battle pass bow or energy recharge option from a Diona. So I have no reason to level this bow. However, if you do not have a separate stringless for your Venti Fischl, or you just don't have a stringless at all, then this bow is a considerable stringless replacement. Otherwise, I would just go with the prototype bow. That's pretty much this for this video. Don't forget to have fun when you're playing the new event, and of course don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.